Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandee. Okay, whoa, so it actually happened. It got arranged. It happened. My Andy Kindler cameo that I had made paid off. I got to speak to the one and only Sam Seder of the Majority Report. I handled arranging this with nothing but calm professionalism. Oh my God. 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 Okay. It actually happened. Okay. Kevin. Oh my God, Kevin. It actually happened. We arranged the interview.
Oh, with who?
Sam Seder.
Who's that?
He's from the Majority Report.
The Minority Report.
No, the Majority Report online.
Is he like famous or something?
Yeah, sure. He's like famous. I mean, he's famous if you know who he is. I'm sure he was just as excited to talk to me. I was scheduled with him for right after the Majority Report aired, and I was so worried because it would be my luck that a libertarian called in right at 2:28 that day. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and we had a wonderful chat. Before I throw to that, please hit my buttons. You can follow me on Twitter, providing Elon Musk hasn't completely destroyed it yet. You can support my channel by becoming a patron or purchase something off my wish list to help build my studio. Every little bit helps. Links are in the description box below. 2 years ago today, I launched my channel, Left of the Box. Needless to say, the style, quality, and delivery of my videos has changed drastically over the years. The only thing to remain the same is my fantastic theme song. If you're new to my content, please go back and check out my other videos. Lots of important messages, and you can see the evolution of them that continues to this day. Without further ado, my 2-year anniversary with Sam Seder. I mean my 2-year anniversary show. show with Sam Seder. It is my immense pleasure to bring on to Left of the Box for the 2-year anniversary show, Sam Seder.
Thank you, Sandee. A pleasure to be here.
In honor of your appearance, I am wearing my only colored shirt.
Oh, all right. Well, I thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I had to actually get it ironed, which was weird. So, to start this off, as a smug-ass Canadian, I like to test Americans' knowledge of Canada. See what you know. So,
is the answer maple syrup? Because otherwise, I don't know how I'm going to do.
Well, you could say every answer with maple syrup, and that would probably be a more complete answer.
All right.
I'll start off easy.
Hockey.
Do you remember what a toque is?
A toque?
Left of the box. A boot. My IM from last Friday. Toque. Oh, about. Oh. From toque, pronounced toque, is what Canadians call beanies. You're practically bilingual now, eh? Left is best. I couldn't understand half that anyways.
I feel like it's some type of sled or something like that. I'm not sure. No, I don't. No.
It's a beanie.
Okay, a beanie.
Yeah.
Like as in a hat.
Like a toque.
Okay.
A winter toque.
All right, there we go.
I got a Majority Report toque when I went to the Boston Live Show.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Super easy question. Capital of Canada.
Oh, gosh. The capital of Canada is Toronto. Wrong. No?
No. The capital of Ontario.
Oh, it's the capital of Ontario. I honestly, I can't. I probably do know this, but off the top of my head, I don't know it.
Ottawa.
It is Ottawa. Okay.
Yeah. Tim Hortonville would also be an acceptable answer.
All right. Fair enough.
Do you know how many provinces there are?
5? Quebec. Well, 5 is not the answer. It's not 5?
No.
How many?
Well, there's only 5 important ones, but there are 10.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, I had no idea.
10 and 3 territories.
Had no idea.
Yeah, apparently.
No idea. What are the 10 provinces?
Now you have BC, Alberta,
Right?
Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec,
Oh,
New Brunswick,
right,
Nova Scotia,
Okay,
Newfoundland,
yeah, all
Labrador,
right.
PEI.
Yeah. No, I guess I really had never thought about it.
Yeah,
Sorry
some of
about
those,
that.
they don't really count, but, they count. For those of you who are new to my channel, I go hard with the sarcasm. What I just said was sarcastic. I don't believe some provinces matter and others don't. I believe while some provinces have more influence, all of them are colonial institutions designed to keep a small group of people in power while exploiting the majority of people and using systemic racism and discrimination to repress groups who would challenge the ruling class. Yeah, basically, they all suck in their own ways. And another important thing the provinces have in common is that there are wonderful people in all of them who deserve to have a government that works for them instead of abetting the interests of corporations and the wealthy few.
I had no idea there was going to be a test today.
Last question.
Yes.
Who was the prime minister before Justin Trudeau?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I know I covered him on some level, or it was shit. His father was Trudeau. Who was it before Trudeau? I can't remember. I mean, honestly, I can't even remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Well, don't feel too bad about that one because I'm pretty sure half of Canada has already forgotten too.
Who was it?
Stephen Harper.
Oh, right, Harper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Evil Lego man.
Yep. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'm the one that's supposed to be apologizing.
I mean,
Yeah.
springing this
I'm the
quiz
Canadian.
on me.
I'm supposed to be apologizing for doing this.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, so there's some.
Well, let me go on to pontificate about Canadian politics now.
Yeah. Well, I talk a lot about American politics, but unfortunately, Canadians know far more about American politics than they do know about Canadian politics.
That has been my experience around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I think on some level, our policies, broadly speaking, have, for better or for worse, more impact on other countries than vice versa.
Yeah. And Canadians need to get more politically engaged. We just had the municipal elections across Ontario. Turnout, it's looking like the average, it's going to be under 30%.
Oish.
Yeah. Okay, now that the numbers have come in, a little quick update on this. Well, my city and the cities around me did have under 30% turnout. After manually checking the turnouts for about 35 cities, the ones with the information available indicate the turnout was around 30% province-wide, with some sources suggesting it could be as high as 34%, which is still terrible. Anyway, so some of the questions that I kind of wanted to get at, it's more, I have my channel. I'm kind of still struggling with it, trying to understand the whole YouTube world. And I just kind of wanted to find out some stuff about you and your process and how you got started. So way back when you were into showbiz, directing, writing, acting, going pretty well. And then your friend said, hey, would you mind doing this radio show with me about politics?
Right.
And you said yes.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I mean, I was in terms of college, I was a government major. I had spent a lot of time involved in politics. City, when I was in high school, I worked for the Charter Commission. They were redoing the charter. In college, I worked for some local candidates in Connecticut, and then I worked at the State House, during as sort of quasi internship. I interned in Congress for a summer. I'd worked on a bunch of different sort of like campaigns, local campaigns. And when I went into in show business, I maintained interest in politics through the 90s, but it got more intense after the election in 2000. And then the run up to the Iraq War was, I was, very, I got really caught up in our march to war, and had actually done the first Majority Report on Tom Sharpling's best of show on a community station in New Jersey called WFMU. And he gave me 2 hours to do, because we had talked about like there needs to be, some pushback in the media to like the Limbaughs and the Fox News. And so I did a 2-hour version of the Majority Report on his show in, I think it was February of 2003, just before the invasion and occupation, illegal, mind you, of Iraq. And so and Janine and I had talked about doing a radio show like this. We watched the 2000 election into like the wee hours of the morning together. And so we were, and she was one of the few people in the country who are allowed to go on TV and say we should not go to war. We should let the weapons inspectors do their job. And I was sort of like, a sounding board for her at that time a little bit. And so when she asked me, in the run up to the Bush Kerry election, I was like, this is really important. And I think at the time I thought like, I'm going to commit to 6 months, April to November, maybe it was 7 or 8 months, or I'll do it through the end of the year type of thing, at the very least. And it just ended up sticking.
So why did you decide to, okay, done it for 6 months, showbiz, lots of money, this, no money. Why did you decide to actually stick with the politics?
Well, first off, I should say it was not no money. It was good money. I mean, I was making more in show business, but it was certainly not no money, and it was good money. And I was still, I still wrote scripts over the next 10 years, really. And so it wasn't like I made a definitive, like I'm quitting show business. It was more like I'm going to keep pursuing this and sort of keep my fingers in it. But it was a lot of things. It was, I found it more gratifying. When people see you like, because they saw you on Sex and the City or something like that, they're like, it's fun to be recognized, but the audience, and radio is a different dynamic too. People would recognize me when they heard me more often than they would, or, than they would see me. And it seemed more meaningful to them, and it felt more meaningful to me. And so from a professional standpoint, there was some adjustments I felt like I had to make in terms of like how disposable a daily show can be, as opposed to like, I had done a TV show where like, I think I had spent a year doing 6 30-minute, 22-minute shows. And, so you really work it, as opposed to like doing 3 hours in a day and 15 hours a week type of thing. But so I think that like one, it just felt more meaningful. And then also in those months between April and the election, I got married, and my then wife got pregnant with our first child. And So it just seemed to make sense in like all the different ways.
Mhm.
And I think at the time I thought like I didn't anticipate radio going away as a medium in the same way that it did, but I thought like I'm well suited to do this. Um, I'm willing to do the work to sort of make up any type of deficit I have in terms of like what I know about politics and policy. Um, and I also was like, I also don't really care if I get fired because I can go back to show business and make more money. And so I felt like I was like well situated to do what I was doing.
Mhm. Were there any ever like a time where you thought, okay, I've had it, I don't want to do it anymore, or a time where you thought it's like, okay, this is over, like something happened, this is over?
Yes, I would say like 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, when did my show end? Like, like, I mean, you always feel that on some level. I mean,
Mhm.
not always, but I mean, like, you have a tough day or you're tired. I mean, the hardest part about this is doing a daily show it's relentless. And fortunately I get some very good people who work on the show and a co-host who can handle it. And so it's, it is not as sort of taxing as it was, let's say, 7-8 years ago, where like, I, uh, I couldn't take any time off, and maybe more than that, like 10 years ago, or when I was doing the radio. I mean, um, and I didn't have editorial staff up until like 4 or 5 years ago, and so and I had to do just a bunch of different stuff. But yeah, I've been doing this for 18 years. It's a little bit tiring, and there are times where I think like, I just don't have the same energy or stamina that I had, 18 years ago. Um, but in the main, when I'm doing the show, like when I'm actually doing the show, it's still time just sort of melts away, and that's when I enjoy it the most.
Mhm. So with all the tech problems, the trying to figure out how to do this, in politics, there's been a lot of setbacks. There's been some progress, but, especially right now, it feels like the right wing is just totally mopping the floor with everything. With everything that has happened, do you feel that it's been worth it for you to do this?
Um, there's a lot of times where it's not. Let me put it this way: it's easy at times to think like, boy, I have really uh, wasted my life in pursuit of like these outcomes. But also think it's a mistake to assume that I could ever measure in any meaningful way like what impact I have on anything. I think that would be silly. I know that there's been at least a handful of people who have their politics have changed, who find the show, helpful at different points in their life. I know that like there's been a great community built around the show that in many respects um, isn't a function of anything I've done other than like, you know, taking the chain off of a parking lot and people just came in and filled it type of situation. I mean, so there's times I'm like frustrated, like this is not, I'm not doing anything, which I think is also sort of inevitable in this business, and that gets a little discouraging. But I think it's made a marginal difference in some people's lives, and how many people can say that with their work? You know what I mean? Like, and so yeah, it's impossible not to sort of like question like what's the value of this to anything, but and sometimes I do, but in the main, I feel like it's been worth it.
So today is the 2-year anniversary of my show, today being November 1st. It is definitely November 1st today.
Of course.
Yeah, I still don't get, I don't buy that Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't think her Halloween costume was racist. I don't buy it at all. Anyway.
Good guess.
Yeah. 2 years into this, could you have imagined where you would be right now?
Oh, when I was 2 years into it?
Yeah.
In 2006? I don't know. I don't think at that time I was, thinking that way. I mean, from 2004 to 2006, I went from like not being married, not being a parent, not having a daily job. And within those 2 years, I had become a parent, become married, got my first sort of infinite horizon daily job, short of like the one, like waiting tables, which I had done probably 10, 12 years earlier. I think our book had come out by that point. Stephen Sherrill and I wrote a book. I don't think I thought about that. I think what surprises me in this iteration of the show, the podcast, in 2010, I launched it around this time. I can't remember, but around this time. And I wouldn't even take year-long memberships for the first, I think, like 4 or 5 years, because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be doing this in 6 months. I'm not very good at gaming stuff out or even thinking about it. So I don't quite get surprised and I don't quite get disappointed.
Okay. So I want to move on to an issue that has come up on the show. Don't worry, it's not Ukraine. But something that I feel is lacking a certain perspective. Now, one thing I've noticed about you is that you're really good at adapting, learning. I'm non-binary, and I do pick up that of the leftist people out there, the cis people out there, you do a fantastic job of using inclusive language.
Oh, thank you.
So one area that I think is just missing perspective, and it's getting at me, Twitter.
The future of Twitter kind of is up in the air at this point, for me at least.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, I'll reiterate what I said on day one when this thing, I don't care. I mean, I'm happy for Twitter to go away. I'm happy for it not, these things, society functioned perfectly well when it was just MySpace. And then MySpace went away and society functioned just as well.
You seem to be okay with the idea of it just disappearing, that things were fine before, and with the threat of like Elon Musk buying it, destroying it, or anything of that sort. No, it's not okay. You see, I live with certain disabilities, and I'm also involved with a lot of people who have disabilities online. Twitter is an absolute lifeline for some of us. It's how we network, it's how we socialize. There's a lot of people can't leave the house for whatever reason, mental health, physical health, they can't leave the house. And Twitter is their contact to the outside world. I know a lot of people on Twitter who have to beg, ask for help with groceries, with money, with rent. And the only way they can pay their bills from month to month is through the kindness of the groups of people and the networks that they've built on Twitter. That keeps them from having to go beg on the corner of a road or to get into, jobs that could harm them. If Twitter were to just suddenly disappear, there is no comparable platform for us to move to. I only had a short time with Sam, so I couldn't get out all I wanted to about Twitter. And just to be clear, this isn't a criticism of Sam. He is one person and can't be expected to inform others about perspectives he doesn't know. That's why diversity is important in conversation and why it's great that the Majority Report takes calls from people with different lived experiences. The social media landscape changed with Twitter. It provided something the other social medias couldn't. Since it's not based on posting pictures or videos of yourself, and you don't need to know people or be part of a group, and you can separate yourself from your friends and families and coworkers, it gives people enough anonymity. Why did I choose this word? To allow them to express their authentic selves, for better or worse. How Twitter is designed gives people a chance to network and interact in ways they can't do on other social medias. People living with disabilities, living with poverty, who are LGBTQ+, may not want the people around them to know for so many different reasons, but they still need supports. And for purely selfish reasons, the threat of Twitter going away or drastically changing is distressing. My channel would not exist if it weren't for Twitter. It's the primary way I promote myself, and it's connected me with other lefty content creators who have supported and encouraged me. After joining Twitter, I was exposed to people expressing themselves and talking about their experiences like they were pulling them out of my life. Because of that, I've come to understand my autism and realize I'm non-binary, which really helped me to make sense of a lot of my experiences growing up. I've connected with amazing people who've inspired me, learned about different organizations, interacted with politicians. Hell, the reason I'm even talking to Sam is because of Twitter. And from what I've seen, I know I'm far from the only one who feels this way. There is no comparable place to go, and all the networks and connections people have worked so hard to make would be gone. For some people, starting from scratch means not being able to start again.
Well, I can appreciate that, and I'm not sure that I was, fully aware of that, but I don't imagine Twitter disappearing one day.
Mm-hmm.
If Twitter goes away, it's not actually going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just going to be supplanted in its cultural primacy. And there'll be in my estimation, there'll be other types of social media that would rise up and take its place. And so it's not an overnight thing. I mean, that's not going to happen. So, I mean, can he degrade it in a way that would inhibit what you're talking about? I don't think so. I don't think that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it becoming a sort of a town square. I see that as very possibly, diminishing in importance in that respect, and something will rise up in front of it. But I get your point that it becomes a specific type of a way of networking that, but maybe it's some other thing that happens. I don't know. But I also think that like his notion of what he can do is, I think, or what other people
he might think a little much of himself.
I just don't think that like he's going to have the room to do the things that he sort of thinks he's going to do. I just don't. Mm-hmm. I think, I think Twitter is a certain way and it has limitations but maybe, I don't know. Maybe he can figure out some other way of doing it. I don't know, but I wouldn't worry about it, sort of going away and like overnight or or in any way inhibiting those types of like communities that are sort of, siloed, in the sense that like, you have political Twitter. And the funny thing is like the vast majority of Twitter is not political Twitter, but from the perspective of a political Twitterer, it feels that way, but that's because that's what the world I've created. So.
Yeah, I'm more politically engaged than most of my friends, and it's hard having a conversation with them.
Yeah, I bet.
But like I know when I joined Twitter, my life drastically improved. Like my mental health got better, the things
that's
I've
great.
learned. Like it's just the fact that I can even have this conversation with you. It's Twitter. Okay, so we don't have that much more time together. And I have a fun little question to kind of end this off with.
Sure.
Okay, so you're in an escape room with
Uh-oh.
one other person and only one other person. The only way out of this escape room is to have a debate that's broadcasted online.
Okay.
Who would you want that other person to be and why?
And so wait, do I have to like, I don't know, win the debate to get out?
No, just basically it's like a Thanos snap. You get to debate the one person. If you could debate just one person without them backing out or anything, who would it be?
Oh, I've never really thought about this before. Gosh.
There's so many to choose from.
I know there's so many to choose from. Like, I need to know like who the audience is.
Online. So your audience, their audience.
Oh boy. I really don't. I I guess the easy answer is Crowder, but I mean, you know, I really enjoy debating, but really it is it's when I do it in this context, it really is about undermining somebody's relationship to their audience that I think is built upon lies and built upon toxic, really toxic perspectives.
So I guess then what audience would you like to gain access to?
Well, I mean, I think for better or for worse, a lot of a lot of this is just sort of like young men in their like teens and early 20s, who but to some extent, that's just been sort of like default. Like that's, online. That's who there's the biggest opportunity. I guess too. I guess in a way that would be inconsistent with the first answers. There might be some people in that I'd like to debate. Like nobody in particular, but like a composite of people on the question of Israel and Palestine, because that's also like over the years I have butt up against sort of like family members and people in the Jewish community who I think their perspective on this is wrong and inhumane. It's a different level of engagement. Like the debate stuff that like I do is it's not quite pro wrestling because it's real, but there's because of who you're appealing to, there's certain like stylistic things and stuff like that. So I don't know. I know, and that's unsatisfying. So let's just say Crowder, I guess. But I mean, just because been a long time coming, I guess.
Yeah, well, it'd be probably more entertaining for people watching.
I think it'd be more entertaining. It would be fun. I mean, I think there's, but I'm interested in engaging a wide array of people on just about anything, and how I approach that and what my agenda is depends on who that person is. That's usually the way that I do this stuff. I don't. I just tend not to have. I tend not to be a goal-oriented person, and have a tough time sort of like establishing aspirations or goals, and so I tend to more react to what comes down the pike, as it were.
So my next question shouldn't be, what is your goal for your channel?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great if there were more people who tuned into the show, but um, if that happened, that would be great.
Hmm.
But there are things I could do that I think would increase our audience that aren't consistent with what I want to do. So I'm not doing that.
Hmm. Well, I did mention that previous question, the debate one person, and somebody actually suggested Joe Rogan, because when you're in a room with him, he's the most likely, it's more likely to get him to agree with you and have
Yeah,
access to his audience.
that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about it. I mean, I
You
don't
can,
know that I would debate Joe Rogan
that would be
in
a
that situation.
conversation.
It would be a different sort
Yeah.
of, I'd use a different approach. And, but yeah, that would be good. He's got a
Mhm.
big audience that I think is really sort of like, capable of like seeing a different perspective, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, shout out to the Letterhack for that one.
Thank you, Letterhack.
So I guess any, I don't know, advice for somebody like me who's still starting out 2 years into this. I have no clue where I'm going to be, but I had no clue what the past 2 years would bring. Like my run on, Rebel HQ that blew my mind. So soon.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I'm not very good at dispensing advice about this because I just have been beyond lucky in many respects with like career stuff, in addition to sort of like being, 35 years ago, lucky that I was confident that I could take chances and try and go into entertainment and do this, and that even if I failed miserably, like I could go home and live with my parents. You know what I mean? Like and having that type of safety net built in gives you the confidence to make decisions that you might not otherwise make.
A universal basic income would give people safety nets, which would mean there'd be more Sam Cedars. If there were more Sam Cedars, the world would be a much better place. Not to mention the spike in anxiety right-wing YouTubers would feel every time there's a technical glitch when debating, causing them to cower like Crowder. We need universal basic income now.
And then, to be honest with you, like I could come up with like 5 different moments where I was just incredibly lucky that had really. I think I'm, moderately skilled and moderately talented at the stuff I've tried to do, but I also just got super, super lucky from an odd, from people I met to where I auditioned and just sort of like when, timing and, I I had no business being on national radio. There's no way in a million years I had any business being on national radio, but Janine Garofalo asked me to do it with her, and that's how I got on. I had no business. And in a million years, I couldn't have, maybe a million, but in any shorter period of time, I could have not had a national, we were drive time in LA and close to it in New York and in Dallas and Miami and Chicago and Portland and Seattle. I mean, one day I wasn't on the radio, the next day I was on all those stations. And there's no other word except for luck. Nobody made the decision. Like it was just Janine decided, like, I want to do it with you because we had talked about it. That was it. And then to migrate into the podcast YouTube world, I had big email lists. I guess I was smart enough, like every time they were going to fire me on Air America, I had people send me emails in support. And so I had a semblance that I could reach my fan base But, when I entered into the space, there wasn't many people doing it at all. And so I had a huge advantage, complete luck, total luck. And I had an email list, and so it's hard for me to dispense advice except for, be lucky. But also, I mean, I will say I worked hard, and I focused on letting the hard work take care of it. And, but you do need luck, and, and that's part of it, but also, enjoy what you're doing and it'll make it much easier.
Okay, so I believe I probably have at least 2 viewers who don't know where you are, so I'd like to help boost your channel.
Thank you.
So where can people find you?
Majority.fm or youtube.com/Sam Seder. And Sam Seder on Twitter, or Majority FM on Twitter. And that's it. But Sandee, congratulations on 2 years.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the artwork too.
Is it up?
Oh yeah, I got it up on I got it where I can see it during the show, up. It is,
Just gazing at yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And it's up, we've got it up on the, on top of the bookcase here in the office. So
You'll have to send me a picture of how it looks.
I'll do that. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate everything you've done to help inspire me to get where I am.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it took a lot of failures to get here and a little bit of luck.
That's usually the recipe.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I hope I didn't look too nervous during that. That was great. I hoped you enjoyed it. I'd love to have another longer chat with him that's more of a conversation, focusing on politics, what the rise of fascism looks like in both countries, and how they're working together across the border. Talk about the apartheid in Canada and other issues both countries are facing, and how cross-border solidarity is needed to turn things around. But I know he's busy, and I can't afford another cameo from Andy Kindler to get his attention. Well, maybe, you never know. Like him, I don't exactly think about where my channel is going or what will happen. I just have a general hope of getting people informed and involved in the world around them. Change will happen. We can be a part of it or have it done to us. One of the ways to make that change happen is to take the tools the right wing has gotten so good at using and learn to use them better. They have mastered social media, and it feels like the left says, okay, we just want to get rid of that tool to get rid of that problem. Oh, and here's the toolbox we want to make. But we're too busy arguing over the types of tools and what the tools do, while ignoring the tools that are right there in front of us. How social media works is a reflection of the people who are gaming the system the best. We can work on those other ideas while using social media the way it was meant to be used. A fantastic example is Olivia Julianna. She was a teen when she was singled out and body shamed on social media by a Republican politician because she's a pro-choice advocate. She turned it around and used that same media to raise over $2 million for abortion access. We need more of that. We need more leftist solidarity to get our names out there, to reach different audiences and change minds. Positive change is possible. Every defeat makes it a little bit more difficult, but it's always possible. The first 2 years of Left of the Box has been quite the journey. I can't wait to see what the next 2 years will bring. I couldn't have gotten here without the support of all of you. People taking the time to watch my videos, liking and sharing them, boosting me to others, the encouraging messages, all of it helped me to get to where I am. A special thanks to all my Twitter peeps who tweet out and retweet my videos. I appreciate all of your support. And a super special thanks to all the people who have invested in me by becoming a patron or purchasing items off my wish list. Your support means the world to me, and I'll work hard to keep going and keep growing. Salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandee, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.